Thanks for joining us as we introduce how Talon's next-generation software-defined storage solutions help enterprises solve critical challenges around distributed storage and IT infrastructure. Before we get started with the deployment of the Talon FAST software, let's have a look at what's required to deploy the solution within your organization. Each FAST instance, whether they're in the core or edge role, must meet the minimum requirements. Minimum requirements must also be met whether the Windows Server is a physical or virtual deployment. The minimum requirements are 2 CPU cores at 2 GHz or higher, 8 GB of RAM, which must be set as reserved or static in virtual environments, a single or redundant 1 gigabit per second NIC, which must be configured as a VMX-Net3 adapter in VMware environments. The software requires a RAID controller with write-back caching enabled, a 7200 RPM SATA hard drive at minimum, a 100 GB C partition for the system boot volume, and at least a 250 GB separate D volume for the intelligent file cache on each edge instance. Note that the core does not store any data, hence the core instance does not require a D drive for caching. The FAST solution can be scaled up to meet customer and individual branch office needs for more intelligent file cache space. Bear in mind that you always want to provision the cache with enough storage to be able to store at least double the size of the active dataset. You wouldn't want to run into any situations where the cache is continuously rolling over potentially active data. This ensures that the automated purging mechanism does not inadvertently flush active data due to an incorrectly sized cache. Talon FAST software runs on Windows Server 2012 R2 and later platforms. These servers must be configured with basic computer information and joined to your corporate Active Directory domain. We strongly recommend to manage the Talon instances in a Talon-specific OU, not inheriting any company GPOs. A service user account must be created within the domain and be granted membership of the Data Center File Server's local backup operators group. Non-Windows backend file servers must also allow the service user account to be a member of the file server's local administrators group as well. Server-specific best practices and requirements, such as antivirus exclusions, are mandatory to be applied prior to deploying the solution. Please ensure you have the right exclusions in place for the virus scanning software that runs on your Windows platforms. For virtual machines, certain settings must be configured to ensure optimal performance of the software. For example, RAM must be configured as reserved or static, depending on your hypervisor platform. Hard disk shares must be set to high in VMware environments, and disks must be configured as thick provisioned eager zeroed. For Hyper-V deployments, hard disk shares must be set to high, and the disks must be configured as fixed disks. Please check our website for the latest hardware, software, firewall and antivirus requirements, and documentation. You can find this information by registering for our support portal at talonstorage.com/support. Now we'll demonstrate the installation and configuration process of the Talon FAST software. You can download and deploy the software installation package or our virtual appliance templates from our website. For this overview, we will begin with a pre-configured and updated instance of Windows Server 2016. We'll start with the Windows Server instance at the data center. This will be the core instance. We'll double-click the icon on the desktop to launch the FAST configuration console. On a first open, we're presented with the initial configuration wizard and the choices of using a license manager or legacy licensing. We're going to configure the Talon core and subsequent edge instances with the license manager server, or LMS, that has already been deployed. For more information on setting up and configuring a license manager server, please see our user guide. After selecting license manager, we're going to enter the LMS's IP address as well as the customer ID that has been provided by Talon. We'll select the role of this server, the core, and click the Register button. Next, we'll configure the service user account associated with the Talon deployment. We'll enter the domain name, username of the service account, and the password. After clicking Next and OK that we understand the importance of correctly entering the service user account details, we'll enter the information to connect the core to a backend file server which is hosting the authoritative data. On the summary screen, we can make sure that we have the correct entries before clicking Apply. After the process completes, we can validate the correct information by opening the FAST configuration console from the desktop. We can click the System Configuration tab for the licensing information, and the FAST Configuration tab for the service user account and backend file servers info. Once the basic configuration of the core has been validated, you can use the FAST Core tab and access advanced settings and features. For example, additional SMB or iSCSI storage targets can be added. Exclusion or inclusion lists can be modified for access to specific file shares, and pre-population jobs can be scheduled. For more information on these features, please see our user guide. Now, from the Edge instance we've deployed, we'll double-click the FAST Configuration console and open the initial configuration wizard. We'll click License Manager and enter the information for the LMS like we did previously. This time, we'll select the box for the Edge role and click Register. After clicking Next, we'll enter the FAST Fabric ID, which indicates the location of the data center and the IP address of the core instance. Since we're on a private network, we won't use SSL, but in certain circumstances, this may be something you want to utilize. For more information, please consult the Talon FAST user guide. After clicking Next, we can review the summary and then click Apply. After hitting Finish, we can validate the correct information by opening the FAST Configuration console from the desktop. We can click the FAST Configuration tab and the FAST Edge tab below it for the Fabric ID and core IP address information. After verifying the correct configuration, we can connect user workstations to the virtual file share. Here we have an example client workstation connected to the Edge's FAST Data Share. As we navigate through the directory structure, we can see folders and files with X's, which indicate cold or uncached data. Once a file has been opened through the FAST Data Share, those files have the X's removed, which now indicates that data is warm and is in the local intelligent file cache. As users access their active dataset from the data center, they begin to store cached copies of their data in their local intelligent file cache. Over time, users move to different projects or datasets and will begin to cache new files. As the cache volume on each Talon Edge is unique based on the user access patterns, office size, and application profile, Talon FAST offers a zero-touch maintenance approach with our automated cache purging mechanism. This runs a cleanup job to remove older or stale cache data that hasn't been utilized in a while. The FAST solution will schedule the job at 9 p.m. local time when the FAST data cache volume reaches 80% utilization. This will purge at least 20% of the least recently used data to ensure that users always have space available to cache new active data sets. At the 90% utilization high watermark, the process initiates immediately. These parameters can be modified to meet IT and user needs or requirements. The Talon virtual file share is provided in each distributed office and facilitates users' access to their central data. The Edge server presents a fast data file share on each Edge server instance that is connected to the core and can be mapped to using either a drive mapping or DFS namespace. Each Edge server can connect to multiple cores, for example regional data centers, and each core can be connected to multiple backend file servers, such as File Server 1, File Server 2, or File Server 3. This allows for flexibility and scalability within the enterprise from a user and from an administrator's standpoint. When connecting to the data on the backend file server in the data center, the path is as shown here. The user's workstation connects to the Edge server, which presents a local fast data virtual file share, followed by the Fabric ID or geographical location of your data center. This path subsequently presents the backend file server, the file shares that are available, and then onto the dataset. This can be represented either by a network drive mapping, for example the P drive, or a DFS namespace. In this example, the entire path to the data can be organized to display the domain and then the DFS route or referral to provide transparent access to the user's data. Here are a few common do's and don'ts to get the most out of the Talon FAST solution and guarantee your users the best experience working in a distributed and collaborative fashion. These practices are common sense when working in a distributed environment. To access your central file set, you do want to work directly out of the FAST virtual file share. Your data will be easily accessible through the drive mapping or DFS namespace and will be easily recognizable by the gray X indicating the non-cached file. When working in a FAST-enabled environment, users should always be working off the Talon FAST virtual file share. This means they are guaranteed consistency and coherency and always have access to the latest and greatest version of the file. It is not recommended that users copy files back and forth to their workstation's desktop. Each time the file is copied from the server and re-uploaded, it is treated as a new file, which will increase bandwidth usage and time to transfer the file back to the data center, as minimal differencing will be taking place. More importantly, this behavior may cause integrity issues with data or result in potential overwrites of newer files, as there's no way to guarantee data integrity when simply copying data in and out of the virtual file share. Ultimately, this will impact the business and your users' productivity. Finally, please ensure that the users and workstations are adhering to their application settings according to Talon's Client Application Best Practices found in the user guide. These settings will provide an optimal work experience for power users of more complex applications such as Autodesk products, the Adobe Creative Suite, Bentley MicroStation, and others. If you have any questions about Talon FAST software or how we can help your distributed enterprise, please consult any of the published videos, navigate to our website, or contact us directly at info@talonstorage.com. Thanks for watching and have a great day.